On today's episode, I have a guest who was on the show this year as part of our roundtable discussion about health, well-being in music, and ways to help yourself during COVID. As part of introducing transformational practitioners onto the show each month, between all the brilliant minds in music, I wanted to bring this man back to discuss his amazing career and body of work. This guy has spent his whole life and career, you could say obsessed with high achieving, and has accomplished what many would dream about. His new peak performance and coaching business is rapidly becoming popular with clients in the UAE and across the MENA region. An accomplished coach and practicing in Master Life, Health in Transformational Nutrition, RSCI, NLP Practitioner, Master Hypnotist, Timeline Paradigm Master Practitioner, and in relationships as well. He has worked on multi-billion-dollar aviation and transportation projects and competed in multiple Ironman competitions before turning his career into a coaching business. Still an owner of multiple businesses and a proud husband and father. On today's episode, we're discussing when is it time to pause, surrender, or quit? His very own The Ascension Method, collective consciousness, energy, and quantum healing, daily routines, and setting boundaries. Arsalan Al Hashimi, welcome again to Electronic Music Man. So glad to have you back for a one-on-one to learn more about you and share your stories, your methods, and to the career of Electronic Music Man audience. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here again. Love chatting with you, bro.
Thanks, mate. So tell me about your Ironman competition experiences. Many people compete with them to push themselves with and deal with demons, their shadows, and push their limits in order to grow and become better versions of themselves. Surely there are better and less extreme ways to reach these outcomes. What was your fascination and interest with them? And your last competition, you practically completed the race sick and caused severe health conditions as a result. When is it time to surrender or quit?
I think a good time to surrender or quit is way before what happened to me. Actually, as you said, I crashed and burned. Metaphorically, of course, not physically, in my last Iron race. And I got diagnosed with a few sicknesses after that were pretty hectic, to be honest. It took me a few years to get over them. And I think one of the most valuable lessons that I got out of this experience with Ironman is to learn when to listen to my body and how to listen to my body and mind, and know when to quit before it's too late. Because a lot of people actually don't know how to do that in this life of where we're taught that we're supposed to grind all day, all night to succeed in our dreams and not really listen to our bodies and take a break whenever we need to. This was a huge lesson, which I was able to actually also transfer into this business that I do now. The Ironman was really interesting, to be honest with you. I started it thinking that I'm just going to do triathlons, which is a shorter version, distance-wise and time-wise. And then I started getting obsessed with the science behind it, actually, because I am the kind of person that's always been pushing myself to the limits. And Ironman is as far as you can push in terms of sports and achievement in that arena. And so I just got obsessed with the science behind it, the readings we get from Ironman with all the technology that's available right now is very, very insightful. I was able to test so many different diets, so many different methods of training, many different mindset approaches for me. And then I slowly started testing it on other people. And it was extremely insightful. It was actually like the platform that really launched my coaching business, as in going into it full time.
Right. And I mean, I guess because it's still very popular, and a lot of people use it to transform their lives as a way to. So, would you say that the disciplines and the structures and the science, as you said, that is involved helps that whole process? Like it creates, I guess, new ways of living and that you take away with you after the experience, and you can, without living like an Ironman every day of your life, but it does set new structures, and it also, you're able to learn about your limits and your behavioral patterns and the resistance and becoming more resilient. Is that what fascinates people to do these competition, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to speak for all people, but I know that this sport attracts certain type of people to start with, and I think that type of mentality benefits greatly from the structure of this sport. I mean, don't forget that this sport is 3 sports, so it's not just one sport. The many people that run long distances like marathons or swim long distances in open water or do cycling are playing individual sports. You have to actually coordinate 3 sports into your life, which you have to do equally well. And everybody is along the spectrum of how good they are in one sport or the other. And then you also have your families, you also have your career. Most of us are not professionals, so we also have our work. We also have our families to take care of. It's like another full-time job, you know, or sometimes 3 full-time jobs that you have to incorporate into your life. So it teaches you a lot of skills that you can incorporate into your life. And especially after you walk away from it, and there's that void of the Ironman, which a lot of people suffer with after they leave for a year, because it's really like breaking up a relationship, you know? But afterwards, you can start incorporating all these things you've learned about yourself, about time management, about nutrition, about rest, like you were saying, rest and recovery, and how you can incorporate that into your life. It's an amazing vehicle of learning and consciousness, I guess, you know, in that sense.
And what would be the minimum, I guess, length of training that's required? I guess it does depend on someone's fitness level, but you know, like what would be the sort of, on an average, someone who is athletic and trains on the regular, or is an average sort of fitness sort of level, what would they need 12 months advance? Would they need 6 months, 3 months? Like, I guess it would vary, but what advice would you say there?
To complete an Ironman? I mean, look, as you said, it depends where you're coming from. And it also depends on very many variables. What kind of body do you have? What kind of metabolic system do you have? All these things pour into it. For me, I came from an athletic background already, but my background was not endurance. So I had to literally switch my whole system into an endurance system, which took quite a while. It took about 2 years. And the worst thing you can do is what I did, which is rush yourself into it, because you're going to find that wall that I crashed into, you know? One of the things I learned was to also listen to people that are much better than me and actually listen to advice, because I did not listen to the advice of a few coaches that advised me to kind of slow down and take this easily. And I rushed into it. And that was one of the reasons why I struggled at the end. But my advice, regardless, is find a really good coach and research them really well, make sure they know what they're talking about, and then get into it. And stick to the advice they're telling you, literally exactly word for word. Like, don't come up with your own stuff. Like me. Yeah, that's what my advice would be. But in general, I think it takes about like 1 to 3 years
of preparation.
depending on your yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, a full Ironman, if you are in the mid-range of people, like just completing it, you're talking about 10 hours of continuous work.
What?
You know?
A week, a day? What do you mean?
No, the
Oh,
race.
the race itself.
The race.
Yeah.
It's about 10 hours. If you're really, really good, you'll finish it in about 8 or 9. But if you're slower, you'll finish it in 12. So it's 10 hours of continuous work at that rate is something that you really need to get up for. There are people that finish it within 6 months, don't get me wrong. But talk to these people afterwards and you'll understand why you shouldn't. You know? Yeah.
And is that because of the impact that the body faces after and the recovery after it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Most people don't understand that the race is one thing. The race is when you're done. Really, the race is when you're having fun. It's all the preparation you have to go through before that. That's where the damage could happen. It's not the race. The race is just a one-day thing where you're enjoying, and it's beautiful because there are people around you, there are people supporting you. You know, you have this goal, you're driven, adrenaline is available, cortisol available, everything to pick you up. There's food, there's drinks, people are cheering. But when you're training, it's a lonely, lonely path.
Yeah.
Man. I remember like waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bike here in the middle of the desert for 3 to 4 hours by myself, no music allowed, nothing. It's just you and the bike and the element.
And your thoughts, huh?
You know, and that's it. You know?
Yeah.
And just imagine, you meditate for 3 or 4 hours, you know, you've done that stuff. Just imagine what you're going through when you're actually on a bike, monotonous in the middle of the desert for 3 to 4 hours. And you do this like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You know? And there's running and there's swimming. Sometimes you have to do it twice a day.
Yeah.
Then there's gym, there's maintenance, food, fixing your bike. It's a full-time thing.
Wow. Well, yeah, I can certainly see that kind of discipline and project to do something like this, how it could have benefits to your life after, both professionally and personally. You know, like just it would lay down some foundations, and of course, for you, it inspired you to review, I guess, the way you look at things and it inspired you to create this new business of yours as well. And it became some kind of catalyst for your career, business, and change. Now, I'm fascinated by this method that you've developed called the Ascension method, and it's a combination of your studies and research. Tell me, is this like a one size fits all type program, or is it one program or a method, or is it broken into several parts and of course by the client's needs? Do you just take out certain parts of this method, or is it like one big program? Tell us a bit about that.
So it is a one size fit all in terms of the building blocks that you need to go through, which are 5 building blocks, right? But within these building blocks, there is a very big leeway that will work from one person to one person. I'm a big believer in whatever it is within a human change or human performance, that there is nothing that fits one person. Everybody has their own body types. Everybody has their own mindsets that they come from. Everybody has their own environments that shape them. So the building blocks, the main blocks, will work for everybody, but within them, I have the range and the ability to kind of bring in and bring out tools that will work according to the situation. So the initial part is all about reconditioning your unconscious mind, where we work together and I guide you through a process that you go inwards and find the answers to the things, the baggage, we call it, that is holding you back. Most methods that are out there do not actually touch base with the root cause of the issue, which usually is between the age of 0 to 7. And Sometimes it's even before that. So it's in your past, either from your, either it is genealogical or it is your past life, whatever your belief system is. But it could be in your past. And what we do is we get to the root cause of this, and we kind of, we don't erase it, but we change your perspective of the event that is in the root cause. And that basically realigns all of your timeline to the present and to the future, and even your past. So there are cases where I dealt with some of my clients that did this, and they didn't just heal themselves, they healed their parents, they healed their siblings, because we're all energetically connected. And everything I'm talking about, by the way, is science. It's not crazy woohoo stuff, you know. Everything I do is very grounded in science, and that's why it took me such a long time to come up with my method. I've been doing this for almost a decade, because I didn't want to, although I am extremely spiritual, I did not just want to base this on faith. I wanted to base this on a platform of proven science. And then you can add faith onto that as a top layer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after just to really quickly go through it, after the reconditioning, and we have gotten you from an unconscious perspective to a place where you are completely transformed in your mind, right? And your mindset's completely changed. Then we go back into the 7 pillars of transformation, I call them, which is 7 pillars of your life, like nutrition, relationships, career, spirituality are some of them. And then we kind of assess every single pillar of your life, and then we go to work. That's the long-term part of the relationship, where we take every pillar and we maximize it in terms of its health and in terms of its efficiency, so that all the pillars of your life are kind of working together to make you the best version of yourself.
Now, you mentioned before about sort of getting to the root cause of, I guess, sort of like original incidences or traumatic experiences that would have, I guess, a grasp on individuals. It has also been, in the world of transformation, it's also been, not to say that that is not an approach, but there's also the discussion that, like, you could it could also not necessarily need to go that far back, but also deal with the present sort of emotion, or like if there's an anger issue, for example, is learning how to bring that anger down, and bring that can also help with releasing without even going back to the root cause. Do you understand what I mean? Like there are cases or you could say, or case studies that that, you know, do we really need to go back to the original root cause, or is it just a matter of learning how to bring down the emotional charge, so to speak, when that's happening, or in the present moment? I can see that you can benefit from both, but have you found that to be useful as well, rather than like, or are you pretty adamant that, like, if you don't get to the cause, you won't heal?
There is a difference between fixing your behavior, which is what you're referring to.
Okay.
So if you are learning tools and methods to control your anger in certain situations, that is absolutely available. Some of my clients that don't want to go back to the root cause, or aren't comfortable yet to explore that journey, are absolutely taught and advised how to identify when certain patterns or certain behaviors emerge. And they're also advised on different methods and how to control the situation, right? However, that is still a reactive process. That is still a reactive process to an unconditioned, to a conditioned, unconscious reaction to a certain stimulus, right? That you have to kind of acknowledge consciously, right? And then have the conscious tools to suppress the anger, right? Because that's what you're doing. At the end of the day, the anger is coming up and you're pushing it down, right? That's one way of dealing with this issue. The other way is to actually deal with the root of the problem, and the root of the problem is in your unconscious mind. And that's just science. So if you really, really want to deal with the initiation of that emotion, then you have to go back to the root cause. It's like basically, I don't know. It's like taking medication for mental issues, since that's what we're talking about today. If you're taking medications, you in reality are not solving the problem. What you're doing is you are relieving the symptoms. Sure. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
If you're learning through your behavioral tools to suppress the emotion, right? Then you are just learning tools that are relieving the symptoms. Okay. Now, there is a science that says that if you continue to relieve the symptoms time after time after time after time after time, it will start decreasing because your unconscious mind learns through repetition, right? That is one of the ways where you can reprogram your unconscious mind, right? Repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. But it's a ridiculous number. I forgot what the number is, like 50,000 times or 100,000 times or something like that, until it becomes a learned behavior. It becomes an unconscious pattern, right? So just imagine if you have to suppress anger 50,000 times, by the time 50,000 comes, I don't know what kind of results you're going to have in your life, right? If you're able to go see somebody, I can reprogram your unconscious mind completely in about, give or take 16 hours, 15 to 16 hours of work, right? Versus you doing this literally 50,000 hours. You know what I mean? That's all I'm telling you is just science. It's nothing I came up with. It's research. So if you want to, because what happens when you, just to go into the science a little bit, because I'm a geek like that. What happens is when every time you have a stimulus and you react to it a certain way, and then you learn a method to kind of change that reaction, what you're doing is you're rewiring something in your mind, right? Your neurons are connected like this, and you're rewiring it so that they disconnect, and then they reconnect somewhere else, right? But if you're not dealing with the root cause, what happens is this wiring comes back slowly, because it's a habit. It's an unconscious habit. Your unconscious mind is 95% of your behavior, so it's a lot more powerful than your conscious mind.
Right. Well, I guess like if because there are certain emotions that are, being human, and I guess they're amplified based on our stories and our past experiences. So you're saying that if we change those perceptions and change the perceptions and the stories, the narrative and the energy charge around it, then that amplification then becomes a lot smaller, and therefore those emotions and behavior will then thus change.
Absolutely.
So you feel that in order to really make that change, then that's what needs to be done. So like because like sometimes you can find that you've got a certain reaction to something and you just don't know like it's almost like you've developed some kind of numbing around that. I guess subconsciously there's a numbing around it, like, and therefore you don't really understand why you're having an anxiety attack, and and it could be something that's deep in your mind. But what you can do over time is learn how to decrease that, or know, oh, I'm feeling this anxiety, I'm feeling this anxiousness, and you start developing a way that can put you in a state of like peacefulness and quietness, and then I guess it goes away. I mean, how can we tell the difference between what is suppressing and what's actually letting go? Like, yeah. Does that make sense? My question?
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, look, if you have learned techniques to let go, right, then you are letting go. And if you're suppressing, you're suppressing. For me, the end result is the same, right? Because for me, it all goes back to why is this happening in the first place, right? Whatever you do to relieve it does not address that there is a reason why all of this is happening to you. There's a reason why you're acting that way. There's a reason why these situations are making you anxious. In my practice, that is what I'm interested in. I'm interested in completely transforming people, because through my own journey and everything that you spoke about in the introduction, my government life, which I started from zero and went all the way up to a very, very high senior position. And then I kind of fell from that and then got into corporate life and climbed my way up all the way to the top and then fell again and then started the Ironman. And it's this repeating pattern of going up and down and up and down and up and down that happens to people, is because they are trying to relieve things from a behavioral perspective.
Yeah.
And what your unconscious mind is going to do is it's going to keep presenting whatever needs to be sorted out in your life. It's going to keep repeating it to you in patterns and in different situations, and until you relieve that source, right? And that's what I'm interested in. I'm honestly slowly not interested in working with people that want to put a surface bandage on their problems, because I don't want them walking out back there and knowing the knowledge I have and knowing the simplicity of it. It really is very, very simple to fix. And I don't want people coming here and going out and hurting. You know, what I want is I want people to change from inside out completely. That's the kind of thing I'm invested in. So if you're asking me whether suppressing or letting go, I would definitely choose the letting go, right? And there are different tools for that. Suppressing is just making when you're suppressing something, you're not resolving it in any way. You're making it worse because your unconscious mind is feeling that resistance. And trust me, your unconscious mind is a lot stronger than your conscious mind. Just think about it. You are pushing up against something that controls 95% of your being.
Yep.
It can push back using your immunity system. It can push back using your digestive system. It can push back using your cardiac system. It can push back. Dude, it controls everything.
Yeah.
You know? It will push back one
Genes,
way or the
hormones, everything.
Anything. Yeah. Anything. It will push back. It will present the problem to you in so many ways that, and we're not even talking about the metaphysical stuff. We're just talking about the physical stuff. You know? The metaphysical stuff that's the seat of the metaphysical stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, your higher self, your unconscious mind, they're all connected. And that is another place where you don't want to mess around. You want to be clean there, bro.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Well, look, I can certainly relate to that. Just by practicing certain methods with a combination of like hypnotherapy and reprogramming, really, And, you kind of see these little, because what you're doing is you're changing these paradigms. And then all of a sudden there is that, it's like you're changing this internal paradigm, and then you're changing this sort of energy field around you. And all of a sudden it's like all these things start to expand, and then all these things around you start to change in your life as a result. So I'm on board with you there. And you spoke about some of your clients before, how you've had this, they've had their relationships have changed with family. And it's not like the family members, I'm assuming that the family members haven't done the work, but because of that individual who's done that work, has therefore their relationship with their family members has changed, even in their relationship, whether it be the spouse. Therefore, the dynamic starts to change. So I wanted to talk about collective consciousness and quantum healing, and how are you practicing this with your clients, and do you do group sessions with family members, or is it just usually those kind of results that you're talking about have been because of an individual changing themselves and therefore their relationships have changed?
I've never done families. I've done relationships, and I've done kind of parents and their kids, because a lot of people that bring their kids around here don't really realize that it's their kids' conditioning that's happening at home that's resulting in the problems they're displaying, right? So in that sense, I sometimes work with families that way. But what I was referring to is actually this profound side effect to you working on yourself, because you are projecting your reality outwards. This is how we work from a quantum perspective, right? So whatever, that saying, be the change you want to see in the world, right? That's exactly what it is. It's a very, very profound, deep quantum statement, if you want to call it that, because basically what that's saying is you need to change yourself from inside first, which is changing your conditioning, what I'm talking about, changing your emotions, changing your thoughts. And that will project outwards a life that you want to see. And that also includes your family members. It includes everybody, because this could happen in two ways. One way is if you are displaying to your family how your change is affecting you, then they will look at you and they will think, okay, this guy is not crazy anymore, like we thought he was, talking about quantum stuff and healing and whatever. And they will probably follow suit. That's one way. And the other way is that you are actually energetically connected to your family members and to the people around you. We're all energetically connected to each other. And the more we heal ourselves, the more we pour into this unifying consciousness that we're in. And you're pouring into the consciousness. And from my perspective, what I'm seeing, it's a lot more relative to the circles closer to you, right? So you're affecting the circles closer to you and the people that you're energetically connected with closely. You're affecting them much stronger than people that are distant and people that are more distant, but you're still playing into consciousness the more you improve and the more you fix yourself from the inside, because we're all consciousness at the end of the day. And we're here as consciousness's representative, if you want to say, on this earth to have an experience and to pour back what we are experiencing. This is what we're doing, right? So if every single one of us fixes what's going on, then consciousness as a whole will get better and better and better and better, right? And at the end of the day, what else are we here for? That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, I guess, look, it is a fascinating. I think this, a lot of people do feel, when you talk about collective consciousness and you talk about that kind of, when you're talking about quantum, and it's great that you have like I understand your interest with sort of getting sort of a scientific evidence around it, because a lot of people want that kind of pragmatic and tangible kind of explanations, because this sort of stuff and this sort of way of thinking can be really far out for some people and intimidating as well. I mean, I've lost relationships. I've lost because of this way of thinking as well. Or of not. You start, when you start thinking like this, and your life changes. You do certain relationships around you start to change.
Absolutely.
So tell me, and that brings me on to this. The last discussion is boundaries and daily routines. Tell me about your daily routine and what does it consist of, and sticking to your boundaries and sticking to, I guess your own, because what works for you, and you know that this stuff works because this is a boundary. This is a boundary in itself. So how do you ensure that that you don't get distracted or disrupted by these boundaries and of your boundaries?
I think what I found from working with many people and working on myself all these years, that not paying attention to the boundaries you set yourself is directly correlated with how much love you have for yourself.
Boom.
Right?
I love it.
And as soon as you start noticing that, and as soon as you start projecting love inwards, then these boundaries are going to take place. Whatever your boundaries are, this is
because you start to honor yourself, right? You're honoring yourself. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I say to my clients, I've done my work when you're able to stand butt naked in front of a mirror and look at yourself and say, I love you, and really, really feel it inside. Like, I say that and I goosebump, because it's just the most amazing feeling in the world to be able to genuinely just be completely exposed and look at yourself physically and mentally and spiritually and think, I love this person in front of me, and I forgive him and I love him and I just want to move forward with him and I want to experience this life every day like that. But when you start your day like that, right, there isn't a single person or a single thing that can go through your boundaries, right? And I talked to a lot of my clients and a lot on podcasts recently, because this has been very important for people to kind of heal from what's happening right now, right? Especially with us being, stuck at home or whatever you want to call it. I don't see it as stuck. I love it, but I'm a homey person. But when people come to me and say, I'm stuck at home, I'm stuck with my family, I'm stuck with my kids, the
language.
Yes, the language and this encroachment on your personal space that people are feeling at the moment because they're not used to it. It's natural, right?
Yeah.
But what's important is that you understand that if you love yourself first and foremost, it is not selfish. It is actually the best thing you can do for everyone else.
Yeah.
And especially the people close to you, especially your kids. I'm a father and I'm a husband, and I love them to bits. And you know that. You know them both and you know how I am with them, But they don't come ahead of me. They don't. Because if I don't build these boundaries for myself, even with them, like you said, my routine in the morning, I wake up in the morning, I go do my meditation, I have time to myself, I do my exercise, yoga, whatever is going on that day. And then I come back, and that actually allows me to be 100% with Ayla. I switch off my phone. I have 2 hours in my schedule set for her, right? And I don't do anything. I don't touch my phone. I don't check my emails. I am with her 100%. And to be very honest with you, that's all she needs. Because anyways, after 2 hours, she's like, okay, daddy, I'm going to go hang out with Dada, which is her nanny,
Right.
And she's had it because she wants to move on. And what better do you want to teach your kids than that? When you are with somebody, you're with them 100%, and then it's okay to let go and go do whatever you want to do. It's up to her, right? That is what is the most important thing for you to do, to love yourself infinitely, to the point where that love pours outwards then to everything else that you're involved in, with your family, with your job, with your whatever you're passionate about, and everything you do every day.
Yeah.
And that helps you kind of maintain that boundary in everything you do, whatever your boundaries are. I don't judge here. People come to me with all kinds of stuff. I don't judge. I frankly, sometimes I don't even care. It's none of my business. I'm empathetic, but everybody to their own. But whatever boundaries you want to have in your life, the only way to enforce them is by you paying attention to how much you love yourself. They're just completely correlated.
Amazing.
It's funny because you were talking about there's something I wanted to touch base with you. Like, I actually didn't talk to you about this, but I worked with a client recently who was a DJ before, a long time ago, and he he's very good at what he does. He's been a DJ in the US. He's been a DJ here in Dubai. He's been a DJ in Lebanon, and he was an opening night in a club in Lebanon, and a horn went off behind his ear, and he got tinnitus, which destroyed his career, as you can imagine. But then this guy, amazing guy, very spiritual, very enlightened, understood that this was happening for him for a reason, realized that the DJ life in general wasn't really suiting him. So he moved to becoming a pianist, and now he's a trained pianist, and he's working towards launching his first album. Brilliant mind. I loved talking to him, but he had a couple of things that he wanted to sort out. And I started noticing while we were working that maybe this is usually a side effect of what I do, that maybe the tinnitus is somehow related to what he was saying, especially that he thought that the tinnitus was there to teach him something. Right? And from that perspective, if he's learned that thing, then the tinnitus should go away, right? Naturally, right? This is what I believe. Your unconscious mind presents this problem to you physically,
that's
right?
A symptom.
Or mentally or emotionally. That's what I was saying. It's a symptom. And if you clear the root cause of the problem, then all these symptoms should go away.
Yeah, right? Sometimes not overnight, but they gradually.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your body knows, your unconscious mind knows how much time and how much it needs to do things.
For sure.
So we started working together, and I never promised him anything about the tinnitus, but I had it in the back of my mind. And when I work with my clients, they're completely healed, because that's what I'm trying to project outwards. I'm projecting outwards a client that's healed already, right? Because in my eyes, they're healed already. They have the capability within them, the infinite capability within them to heal themselves from anything. Yeah. Right? Your body can do that. Yep. So we started working, and we started working on some of limiting beliefs and stuff like that. And slowly, day by day, while we were working together, day by day, he'd wake up and he'd tell me, bro, like, things were going on in my ear while I was sleeping. Like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I can feel something happening in my ear. And all his doctors told him that this is a permanent condition you can't heal from. Right? And for me, the worst thing that anybody can tell me is no, or I can't. Like, as soon as somebody says, that's why I am where I am right now, because people told me I couldn't heal from the stuff that was going on with me, And so, just to address the beginning things we were talking about, this is what happens when you start dealing with the root cause of things, is that a lot of things start disappearing and a lot of things start healing automatically. And when you're healing yourself, you're healing everybody else around you, and you're healing, the whole of creation, because we're all connected. Yeah. You know, it's a noble cause to heal yourself. It's a noble cause.
Yeah, but it also sometimes, as I was saying before, though, it does change certain relationships that might be around you, and relationships can, the dynamic of those relationships can change because of where someone is in their journey or in their path. And so
you know that you're like the perfect example of that. We spoke about that before on our private coffee meetings or whatever. Yes. But I mean, look, It's very simple. It's all about vibration. It's all about energy and vibration. And the more you ascend, the more your vibration ascends with you. And the more you vibrate higher, then you are losing you are going to lose the vibration of the people that are lower than you. Not this, I'm saying this very humbly, right?
Yeah, not lowering, they're less of a person.
No, they're
you,
not. They're just in a different journey.
I understand.
And the best thing for them and for you is for you guys to go separate ways.
Yeah.
Right? It's the best thing. It's the best thing you can do. Yes, it can hurt. Yes, it can do all of these things. But it is part of the side effects. It's part of the side effects, and your ascension is going to attract what's best for you and what's best to serve you at the moment of your enlightenment or your ascension or your growth.
Arsalan, I always love chatting with you, buddy. We can go on because this is very dear to me, these subjects, and I love talking about it. I can go on for hours, but we are out of time. Please tell the listeners where they can find you, learn more about you and your work. So
my website is www.arsalan, ARSALAN, my first name, .co. And my Instagram account is Arsalan.Al Hashimi. You can see my first name and my last name, I guess, in the notes, I guess, of this this show.
I'll be sharing
because it's hard to spell. I know it's difficult, but yeah. So either my website has a contact page. It also has a bunch of information about me, or you can go to my Instagram account and DM me, and I'll reply to you as soon as I can.
That's amazing. Thank you again. Thanks for coming on to the show once again. I did want to have that one-on-one session with you this time, and just to be able to share like what I'm doing with this podcast is bringing in people like yourself, as well as all the amazing music people that I'm having as guests on the show. And by all means, if you do have any questions, and you, after consulting in the sort of music and electronic music and personal development, please email me at info@jameslocksmith.net. Sign up to the newsletter on jameslocksmith.net, and you will be able to find out more about electronic music, man, all the amazing guests. That's it for today. Thank you so much, Arsalan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. Much love.
We out. We out.
Peace.
Peace.